What were you going to say?
Well, I do think there's like a question that lingers out there for me always, which is you think you want something, you think you're clear about it, and it still won't manifest.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Is that a bubble question?
Yeah, let's do that bubble. Let's do that bubble question.
Well, the very first thing that dropped in was, and they're clarifying this isn't directed necessarily at Laura, it's speaking in general to the question is sometimes the conscious mind thinks it's clear, but it's like the unconscious mind has other ideas or other thoughts, the subconscious, like there's something lingering that hasn't made its way to the conscious that's actually in conflict with what
Mm-hmm.
the conscious mind thinks it wants. And they're like, in those cases, the unconscious is almost able to override the conscious because it is like, they're like showing like it's sending out like this just like magnetic frequency waves of like, no, 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 no. Because it's just something that's like not ready yet. Or something else is going to change, or some like programming or conditioning is going to come forward that needs to be cleared. So like that's one thing that happens to people is they haven't looked at why they think they want what they want to
Mm-hmm.
like really know what they want. And now I'm just like my brain just went, but does it matter? Like they're still like co-creating. So like it only matters in these like, situations where the soul is so clear about the experience it wants to have or came here to have. And that would take, and the conscious mind would take it so far off track that it's just like, no, I'm going to override you. It's like this got an override button.
Right.
Um, okay, but that's probably not what Laura's talking about. So
No, I mean
any
that is like there's a soul, like the soul story or soul goal.
soul goal.
It's a soul goal.
It's a
And
soul
like
goal.
if the conscious mind, the conscious human is trying to do something that's so far off the soul goal, then soul's goals. Oh my God. Then this then it's almost like how does the subconscious mind relate to the soul?
Ooh. It feels like they're almost able to talk to each other more easily than the conscious mind and the soul. They're like, this is why you guys are going to do whisper training because this is getting to the heart of it. It's the conscious mind could hear if it got quiet, if it opened the channel, it could hear the conversation and the conditioning and the programming, and it could start to differentiate between all these different layers. And it could start to have a conversation with itself. So conscious mind could start to have a conversation with subconscious and soul. Okay, so what do we want? What did we come here for? What is the next experience that we're looking to have? Is there something that I need to clear to get myself more ready for this thing that I want? Oh wait, I don't want it. Like why not? Let's talk about this. Why did you even say that? So like there's this whole dialogue that can happen when the channel's opened. Oh my God, what was your question?
It was kind of like how did the subconscious mind, because you know we have subconscious programming, but then you have the soul level, which I don't know if programming would be the right word. It would have its like experiences, but it's probably not. It's got its like plan for this lifetime. So how does the subconscious relate to the soul based on the idea that the subconscious mind has subconscious programming from whatever childhood, your DNA, whatever it is, and then there's the soul also there, which is not bound to the physical really or to time.
Oh my God, this makes me want to look up afterwards if this is even accurate. But what it's showing is kind of like a sandwich where it's like the conscious mind is the top bun and the subconscious, like the programming, let's just say it's the hamburger or the veggie burger in the middle, and then the soul would be the bottom bun. Is that how this would organize itself?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like this,
Yeah, they're just like, don't overthink it. Just go with the three layers. You picked a hamburger, just go. All right, so there's the three layers. So like the burger is getting influenced by the top bun. The burger is also being influenced by the bottom bun. So it doesn't really care. This is a terrible analogy of the burger. It's like the veggie burger, the meat burger doesn't really care. It's just running
it's
the
just running.
programming. It's just running. It's like, I don't want to say it's running the programming. It's delivering on the program. So whether it comes from the soul or it comes from the conscious human mind,
Or it
doesn't,
comes from your childhood trauma.
yeah, doesn't matter. It just like it gets grooved, it gets conditioned, it gets processed. And it really doesn't have a preference. It doesn't care at all. It's like, oh, you don't like that program? Okay, cool. Give me the one you want me to run. Because it's there just to make life easier. It's there to take the processing that we don't actually need our brains for and to just do it, to make decisions and actions easier, more automated.
It's like the computer.
Yeah. No, like it's not so different from the conscious, but the conscious is pulling in from like nature, nurture, parents, peers, like it's being fed
And yeah,
externally,
because
externally.
that was something that's like repeated enough probably goes from the conscious to the subconscious. I don't know if that's right.
Well, they're just showing like it just almost what it almost feels like is that the way the frequency that the conscious mind exists on is in alignment with the external world.
Mm,
The subconscious has the ability, it's like it's got like multiple bands, like bands of frequency. So it can function with the mind or it can function with the soul. The soul's on a frequency all of its own, and it's just too big of a kind of a gap for the conscious mind and the soul to be in sync
right.
without like working on it.
That makes sense. I think that makes sense with the concept of like gamma, beta, alpha, the waves, the frequency waves of the brain that they can
Yeah,
measure.
probably. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So that you would have to drop probably to like gamma or theta to like access the soul. But yeah, that makes sense actually in my brain. I don't know.
Ooh.
Okay,
Somebody
that
can
makes
tell us
sense
if they
actually.
disagree
Yeah.
or
None of
tell us
this
if
is
we're right. I
science.
have no idea.
I don't think anyone knows for sure.
No. Okay, so they're also like this is why hypnotherapy can work for people because you're just shifting into a different brainwave and you're creating a new groove
Yeah.
through
My meditation, all
conscious
that stuff.
programming. Yeah.
Yeah. So another bubble question. How does breath work come into all this?
Oh, let's see if I can get to this. I gotta move my mind out of the way.
Or you can ask me, I guess.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you, how does breath work? Can I clarify the question?
Yeah.
How does breath work in helping to clear programming?
Um, well, they want to start talking about the physical body because they're talking about how a lot of it can be stored in the tissues. And the breath work is helping clear cellular memory on the physical level. where you might end up like you might go through a breathwork class and be like, oh my gosh, that shoulder pain just cleared up. I don't even know what happened. They're like, you don't really, they're like, it's kind of like you can clear stuff out of the physical body with it without being conscious of what the actual thing was that left.
Mm-hmm.
That's more like clearing things from the physical space and the body. Yeah, that's what we just said. Okay, and then the fuck. And then now they're like, okay, now if you talk about the emotional level, the breath work, well, and they want to clarify, and they tried to clarify this earlier in my brain, but I didn't say it out loud. They're like, this is the type of breath work Candy teaches, or the holotropic breath work, or the Wim Hof breath work, or like all the like breath work that's hard
Mm-hmm.
work. They're like, there's the breath work that you do in yoga class, which helps calm your nervous system, which helps relax and calm your mind and might help you learn how to stop being like on a runaway train with your crazy thoughts. But that's not what this is. This is a whole other level. So this type of breath work, it's like it it's so much, it's hard. Like it's hard work. And it because you're doing so much work, your brain just gets out of the way, like your conscious mind just gets out of the way, and then the healing can come forward and up and out from the subconscious mind, the emotional healing. So they're really talking more about, they're almost saying like meditation is kind of on the mental level, like kind of like therapy, where you're working on watching your thoughts and seeing what your thoughts are doing and learning your thoughts. And they're saying, oh my God, they're going to go all over the place. Okay, so then they're talking about, what is it, stoicism, that's just basically like you just control your thoughts and it solves everything. And they're like, well, no, because the thoughts are one layer. And if you look at like the Eastern medicine and things where they talk about the layers of this, not almost the layers of the body, but it's like the layers of the aura. You have your mental layer, which are your thoughts. You have your emotional layer. You have your physical body. So they're talking about these different layers in relationship to the breathwork types. So like a meditation style breath work, where it's like you're slowing your breath down, you're observing your thoughts, you're working on the mental layer like you do with therapy a lot of times. Sometimes those thoughts will bring you to the emotions to help clear the emotions. But it is important also to work on noticing the thoughts that you're having so that you don't just aren't on a subconscious runaway train with your thoughts, like your patterns and programming from whatever the country you grew up in, your parents or whatever. It is important to have that observation mode. But then separately from that, the emotional stuff that you're clearing, they're like, they're just saying it's so slow to go through the thoughts to clear the emotions. And it's so, they're trying to find a word. The word I'm seeing is narrow-minded, but they're feeling like that's judgmental and they don't really want to be judgmental, but they're kind of like, if you're only focusing on the thoughts, you're just like completely missing 85% of the shit that you need to be looking at. So the emotional clearing, you can clear the emotions without having to know exactly how they got there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So the breath work, what does this have to do with subconscious mind? I don't know. So the breath work is, well, it's stopping, it's putting a hold on your conscious mind, or like kind of pushing it out of the way to let the emotions come through and clear out of your body
Mm-hmm.
and out of your emotional field. It's not working to try to get to the subconscious mind. There's like other things you do for that, like meditation, breath work. It's they're showing all these like patterns in the aura, kind of almost like code that you're running, like you said. Oh, I feel like it's contradicting itself. Okay, they're like contradicting themselves. This is really interesting. they're really wanting to separate. They're like, there is subconscious programming that is emotional. So they're kind of just separating out like the thought based versus the emotional reaction based. And the breath work that you're doing is pulling sometimes the emotional reactions are like at the subconscious level, or they're just stuck in the physical body, or they're just stuck in the emotional field. And they're like, sometimes it's like a pattern, but sometimes it's just something you would never confront or see or come up like, or ever notice that is stuck in the field that the breath work is clearing. Does that make sense?
It does. While you're going through all this, I just was like, all right, I'm going to see what comes in. And I think it supports everything that you just said. They showed me the record, like the grooves that we talk about, because they kept saying it's conscious connected breathing, it's circular breathing, and like they really kept stressing that. And so that's the type of breathing that we're talking about, circular breathing or conscious connected breathing. And it's like they wanted me to think about like when the record is activated and it's going around. So the record player is turned on, the record's sitting on the turntable and it's spinning. What the breath work is, it's spinning the record, it's activating the record. It's an active meditation. So eventually the conscious mind goes offline to create the space for the grooves to come forward and to express and present and to create the space to let them go. And then the rest period of this type of breath work is where like almost like a new record gets pressed. So like grooves get filled in. But they were like, if you think about all the layers that Laura was describing, and then you think about pressing a record, right? Like that's how they do it. They press a record. You're pressing down into this space through all these different layers. So it could be pressing through the mental, pressing through the emotional, pressing through the physical. And then you're creating this record, these grooves. You may never be able to identify the story mentally to get to the groove, to get to the release, because it is something mental that then got connected to something physical, that then got connected to something emotional, and it might not logically seem that those things are connected.
Right. So like sitting in therapy or observing your thoughts may never get you there.
Exactly. How many times did I say to you, oh my God, like I'm still rehashing the same thing? I thought that I dealt with this in therapy. Well, I dealt with the mental part of it, but I didn't deal with the physical or the emotional part of it, or the energetic part of it. So like this just creates a space for these like grooves to almost like lift back up out of the record, and the space gets created for them to shift out through an emotional outburst or a physical movement or whatever.
I know we've talked about the record before, but when they are talking about the record right now in this instance, what are they talking about? Like, what is that?
Yeah, they're using it as the analogy that we've used before, which is where we get imprinted. Ooh, you're right. We do get imprinted. We get imprinted with some incident or some repetitive thing happening, or we get imprinted with, family beliefs or cultural beliefs or whatever. It's like there's an imprint of some sort that happens to us.
On like our energy field.
Yeah, it could be energy field. It could be our subconscious mind. It could be whatever.
Yeah, it's all kind of the same, I think. It's just, there's a lot of like different systems out there that talk about it in different ways. Like the chakras or the aura, the layers of your aura, or that kind of thing. But I think it's like the self encompassing.
They're really hung up on the word imprint. They're like, we like this word better than programming, because programming feels like it just feels heavier or like obvious. Like, of course, obviously, if I'm being programmed, like,
It also sounds kind of like a conspiracy.
yes, it does. You're right. So there's just like an imprint can be subtle. It can be major or it can be subtle. Like your fingerprint is an imprint. Look how subtle that is.
Yeah.
But it's an imprint of who you are, unique.
Yeah. And so you have all these imprints all over your, I would say, energy body at different layers. At the physical, you sprain your ankle. At the thought, you hear the same words come out of your parents' mouth, so you take those on. At the emotional level, you have a boyfriend break up with you, so you're crushed forever. Like that, all those things are imprints. And even we talked about like your culture, where you grew up, all of that stuff, your religion, it's all creating these imprints.
And it's not always bad. Like they can,
No.
A lot of times we talk about it in relation to things that we want to let go of or shift out of, but like it can be really good too. Like you can have the imprint of the first time you fell in love and it was a magical experience.
Exactly. And that's about it, making them conscious or clearing them and then choosing them. Yeah. Like choosing to stick with, I mean, all beliefs are going to shape your reality, but like choosing to stick with certain beliefs, or you know what I mean? Not that you have to clear everything out, but that would be an option.
Right. I don't know what gets left behind, but let us know if you manage to do that. But yeah, it is choosing. It's the co-creation concept, right? Like if we want to think that all men are bad, that's a choice. We can. Or, or we can modify it and get a little bit more specific. Like only men that behave like dickheads are bad. All the time. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but then it's like you said before, it's like that, then the reality is like, oh, okay, all men are bad. That's what you think. So that's what we're going to show you.
Yeah, totally.
That's what,
right.
Yeah. You just keep seeing examples of that.
Yeah, there are consequences for these things, or it's cause and effect. Like if you believe it, that's what you're going to see. We're always trying to prove ourselves right.
Right. That wraps this episode of One Card Shy. Did you love it? Leave us a review, share it with your friends, and sign up for our monthly crown straightener. Bonus, you'll get our free Claim Your Crown guide when you subscribe.
And be sure to find us on Instagram and check out our website. Both are rainworld.co. All the links are below. See you next time, Queens.